Hello everyone, it's Gojira Prime here with a little video, and today I'm doing a two-figure review of the same figure but different mold versions of it. And I'm doing, as you can see from this, the Power of the Primes Nemesis Prime, which I picked up at TFN Manchester this weekend, and also the Selects Star Convoy figure, which I picked up 5-6+ years ago when it first came out. Now, I have made no secret in the past that I am no fan of the Optimus Prime version, the original mold version of this figure. I just didn't like the evolution process from Orion packs to the big Optimus Prime figure. It just didn't make sense to me. But I do like these two figures because the base robots are Optimus Prime and Nemesis Prime, and then they upgrade into Star Convoy, and Nemesis Prime just becomes a bigger robot. Now, I want to go through each of these figures at the same time, so I'll compare the different molds, what's the same about them, what's different about them, and go from there. So we'll start off with the robot mode, with the front cab modes, the small robots, essentially. Put that there. So first off, here's Nemesis Prime. So I'll freely admit the truck mode is not the greatest on this thing. There's a lot of robot kibble at the back. You can clearly see the arms here. And the same here on Star Convoy. They just stick out like sore thumbs. You can clearly see the smaller robot head, which doubles up as the trailer hitch point on both robots as well. But at the same time, you can also see already some of the mold differences in these figures. If you look at the Star Convoy's leg section where you can see the two wheels, you can automatically see that they are different already, just in the overall shape. And if I put them at the top here, again, you can see the difference as well. The front of the cabs are nice. I think they're well detailed, nice silver detailing. You got this blue teal here on Nemesis, yellow on Star Convoy. I do like the fact that Nemesis Prime's windows are blotted out in this translucent red. You can't see the matrix as easily as you can with this one, because as you can see in this one, because the windows aren't tilted, the matrix sticks out like a sore thumb. Aside from that, in truck mode, they're pretty much identical. You can just start to see the differences already in the back. Both roll fairly fine, no problems there. Moving on to the trailers are exactly the same initially. Now, you can fit Nemesis Prime's larger arm cannons onto here, these flaps, which fold out from the main cab, but unfortunately it does leave a large hole visible right through the middle of the trailer section. Weapon storage, you can store the weapons up top. If I just take the sword off. It has to be said, this version of Nemesis Prime was meant to come with a mini-con that doubled up as a bladed weapon, but it didn't have it when I got it from Toy Fu, but I'm not really too bothered about that. The cannon stores in between the two arms, which make up the top of the trailer, but without the gun there is quite a sizable gap, and you can see down into the larger robot mode. If you don't want these cannons on the side, you can detach them and then just fold that piece back into place and just clip it in there. The Star Convoy trailer is pretty much identical, really. The wheels are the same, they're just a different color. The side panels are all the same, they all fold out the same way. You've got the same weapon storage ability on the top there with the peg holes, and the cannon is stored in exactly the same way as well. So this part of the figure is pretty much exactly the same. And again, if you actually wanted to, you can take the cannons from this figure and put them on this one as well, because it does have the same tab flap that will fold out, and you can put the cannons in there also. So no massive differences so far. The differences become a lot more apparent when you change these two into their robot mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to get these two transformed, and then we'll run through their differences. Okay, so here we have the Nemesis Prime and the Optimus Prime in their first stage robot modes. And straight away, you can see that there are some pretty big differences in these figures and the mold that they used for them. So to start off with the very obvious, the head sculpt, the Star Convoy figure has the much more traditional Optimus Prime head sculpt, which is very, very nice. And Nemesis has this much more aggressive, evil head sculpt. You can also clearly see the chest pieces are very, very different. You've got Optimus Prime with his more traditional chest plate with the windows and the grill, while Nemesis has this red clear plastic piece here, and this whole section is completely remodeled differently. Then you have the shoulder pads for each figure. Optimus is, quite square and blocky, while Nemesis Prime is much more curved. And it's the same with the lower arm as well. Prime's is quite blocky, but Nemesis, just move his arm up a bit so you can actually see it against the backdrop. You can see here, his arm in comparison is very curved. Very, very different. The thigh pieces here are also a little bit different as well. Not by much, though. But then the real difference is in the legs. Nemesis Prime's is more or less a total remold of this figure's legs. So they're very, very different. So despite the fact that they use the same base mold, which was the original Power of the Prime's Optimus figure, the changes made to each figure are quite substantial. So it's very, very different. The best way I could compare it probably is if you have the Titans Return Galvatron figure and the Titans Return Selects figure, Megatron figure, sorry. The Selects Super Megatron figure is based on that Titans Return Galvatron, but the changes to the mold were so extreme, it essentially became a whole new figure, more or less. Now, just to give you some size comparison for these two with other Transformers figures, here he is with the Age of the Primes Blastoff. And here he is with the more recent Metal Hawk figure. I just move them aside. So these two are about Voyager class figure size. So what I'll do now is I'll pause again, and I will get each of them transformed into their super robot modes. Before I do move on to the super robot modes, one thing I forgot to go through with these figures is actually their articulation. Now, I'll do this with Nemesis Prime because my Optimus Prime's figure has a habit of the legs falling off. But the head joint on the figure, they've both got the same articulation anyway. So the head figure does move side to side. You can't really move it up and down. You've got movement at the shoulder, about that far. It'll move forward all the way and a fair bit back. You've got movement at the elbow. There is no hand articulation. It's a solid lump of plastic, but that's not a problem. The legs will move all the way forward, and they'll move a little bit back because of the backpack, but you do have articulation at the knee. The foot has a little articulation here, but that's more to do with the transformation process more than anything else. So you can still pose him nicely if you wanted to. Like I said, this one's got the same. The head moves from side to side, shoulder a little bit, elbows the same. The legs will move up and back, and the knee there. I have to be a bit careful with this one because, like I said, the legs do pop off the ball joints quite easily on mine for some reason. Don't know why that is. So yeah, you can get some decent poses out of him if you do want to. So yeah. Okay, so before I do finish the transformation process from robot to super robot, I just want to run through the two super robots in their transformed state. So here we have Nemises, and you can see he's all folded up into this brick-like thing with these large translucent windows, which would have been hidden away in his vehicle mode. But that's his head sculpt there. Again, this head sculpt, you can move it from side to side. It doesn't really go up and down very much, but that's his head sculpt. And then you have the Star Convoy head sculpt. Again, same sort of articulation, just side to side only. Doesn't really go up. Well, you can go up and down like that, but it doesn't really work very well. So yeah, that's the two in their folded up state, ready to be combined with their trailers. Just to run through the individual trailers themselves, there are differences again in how these trailers were put together, or molded differently, I should say. And there are some quite substantial differences. So these are the two trailers next to each other. And I'll just fold that in like, there we go. So just to run through the differences in these trailers, and they are pretty substantial. So Nemises Prime has these smokestacks up here. These fold away when not in use, so you can fold them back here. While Star Convoy has these guns on the top of his arms. You can also see the differences in the lower grille section. Again, this one was made to look as much like the original toy as possible. This one, I think, is probably more reminiscent of the actual Optimus Prime toy. Now, I've got Nemises here with his cannons on his arms. Again, you can connect them to Star Convoy if you wanted, just by putting them in these 5mm peg ports. And then you have the legs. As you can see here, they are molded completely differently. So they do look very, very different. As I don't have the Prime mold, I'm guessing that this one is probably much more like the actual Optimus Prime mold than this one was. So, to combine the robot section here with the super robot body here, what you do is, and I find this is the easiest way for me, just bring the arms forward a little bit just to clear away some space. Take your robot component here and then just give it a good push till you hear a click. And then there you have Nemises Prime in his robot mode. Well, his super robot mode, I should say. And obviously, each one of these does come with this blaster, which I forgot to show off before. This splits apart so the small robot can use them as individual weapons. And this will just go right in the large robot hand here, like so. Nemesis does also come with this, which is meant to be like the Dark Star Saber, and it will plug into the hand ports as well. But there isn't really any storage on him, as far as I can tell, for when he's in super robot mode. So you don't really have anywhere to put it if you're not using it in the robot mode. Star Convoy is exactly the same, but what you've got to do with Star Convoy is, because he does have this large star piece that's molded into the body here. So you move that forward first, just flip out the trailer component there. Put it into here, a nice little click. And then what you do is you fold the star up into this little peg hole there. It will pop out occasionally, as mine is often done. And then just straighten out his legs a bit. Is that gone all the way in? No, that's not gone in there. So I'm just going to take that out. Not followed my own advice properly there. There we go. And there we go. Right, so he's now all fully transformed. And again, he has his own weapon, which will again go into the 5mm ports. I'll just take out his. So you put them next to each other, and that's how they look. You got Star Convoy, the ultimate evolution of Optimus Prime, and then you have Nemesis Prime as well, the ultimate evolution of evil. All in all, although I'm not a fan of the original Optimus Prime mold of these, I do really like these two figures. I think because the upgrading process from the smaller robot to the bigger robot makes more sense to me than having Orion Pax evolve into Optimus Prime by just attaching him to a trailer. This is more like a super robot version for me than anything else. Now, you can access the Matrix in each one of these as well. If you just pop open the chest sections, can you still? No, you can't really get to it in this one. But you're meant to be able to access the Matrix as well in these two, but I don't think I can do it without breaking them, maybe. But yeah, I really like both these figures. I'd been looking for this Nemesis Prime for quite a while, and then I just stumbled upon him in the last 5 minutes of TF Nation in Manchester the other day. Got him for £50, so I can't really complain with that. And Selects I got years ago, probably for around about £50 to £60 when it came out, however much it was. I think out of the two, now that I have them both standing next to each other like this, I think my favorite is the Star Convoy. And this for a very long time was my Optimus Prime on the shelf. Just because I love the super robot mode so much. If I'm honest, the super robot mode is where these two figures do shine the best. The small robot modes are okay. The vehicle modes are not very great, but they're okay. But if you're going to have these figures, then you're going to want them really in the super robot mode. And ultimately, I think, at the end of the day. And just to do a quick size comparison, here he is again with Blastoff. And there is Metal Hawk. So they are quite sizable. They are quite sizable. So are these figures worth picking up 7 years down the road? I think they are. I mean, I really do like this Star Convoy. And I have to admit, now that I've got Nemesis Prime in hand, I'm really pleased with him as well. Because of his age, there are a few loose bits, mostly in this chest section here, but I can look past those quite easily. I think if you're a Nemesis Prime fan, you're going to want this figure. It's just a great figure to have on the shelf. And if you're an Optimus Prime fan, this is another great figure to have on your shelf. But if you're going to have them on the shelves, have them in these super robot modes, because this, I think, is where they are at their best. But that's just my opinion. So yeah, I think they are worth adding to your collection. Like I say, I don't have the Optimus Prime version, and even though they've re-released that figure, I'm still not interested in picking it up, because again, the transformation from Orion Pax to Optimus Prime, the way it's done, doesn't make any sense to me at the end of the day. I'm just not a fan of it, but that's my opinion at the end of the day. So let me know in the comments section, do you have either of these figures, or are these figures you would think about getting now after seeing my review? Do let me know in the comments section. Please hit like, hit subscribe, and have a very, very nice day.